Imagine you are falling into the ocean and a predator believed to have disappeared 66 million years ago is approaching. A body up to 15 meters long, moving from below, the angle of attack that most surface-dwelling organisms cannot observe. Within seconds, you would have almost no ability to react. This sounds like an impossible scenario. Mosasaurus went extinct at the end of the Cretaceous, and there is no evidence that it still exists. But the issue is not the existence of this organism. What we reconstruct from its fossils, the approach from a blind spot, energy optimization strategies, the selection of weak or isolated prey, closely aligns with how modern marine predators operate. Sharks and orcas still use these exact principles. This is not evidence of Mosasaurus surviving. It is a more structural question. If the organism is gone, why is its ecological role still preserved almost intact? And if the ocean continues to operate under the same logic, what has actually disappeared? Birth in an aquatic environment does not imply immediate survival competence. A newborn marine reptile, if analogous to Mosasaurus, would face 3 immediate constraints: respiration, buoyancy control, and predator avoidance. Unlike fish, it would rely on lungs, requiring rapid access to the surface. Any delay increases hypoxia risk. Locomotion is equally critical. Inefficient movement exposes it to larger predators within minutes. Modern marine analogues show extremely high mortality in early life stages. Survival is not guaranteed by anatomy alone. It is determined by how quickly basic physiological functions stabilize under environmental pressure. But what is firmly established is that Mosasaurus was a large marine reptile, reaching lengths of up to 12 to 15 meters, occupying an apex predatory role in late Cretaceous oceans. What remains uncertain is its exact reproductive strategy and early life behavior, as direct fossil evidence for neonates is limited. Any detailed reconstruction of its juvenile survival relies on comparison with modern marine predators. What can be rejected is the idea of innate perfection at birth. No apex predator emerges fully optimized. All must pass through a vulnerable, error-prone developmental phase governed by environmental pressure. Early survival depends on rapid stabilization of 3 physiological systems: respiration, locomotion, and sensory orientation. As an air-breathing marine reptile, a Mosasaurus neonate would need to surface within minutes to initiate effective lung ventilation. Buoyancy must then be regulated through body positioning and movement, as passive floating increases predation risk. Locomotor control is equally critical. Inefficient propulsion reduces both escape capacity and access to prey. Sensory input, particularly vision underwater, would guide immediate behavioral responses. Modern marine predators demonstrate that failure to synchronize these systems quickly results in high mortality. Survival is therefore not gradual adaptation, but an immediate functional requirement. Initial predatory attempts are expected to fail due to incomplete coordination between perception and motor response. A juvenile Mosasaurus would likely misjudge distance, timing, and target movement, all leading to repeated unsuccessful strikes. Fast-moving surface prey such as seabirds or schooling fish require precise acceleration and trajectory control, which are not fully developed at this stage. These failures are not anomalies, but essential calibration processes. In modern predators, repeated error refines neural and muscular synchronization. Early inefficiency is therefore a necessary phase, not a weakness, in the development of an effective hunting strategy. Early hunting failures are primarily mechanical rather than strategic. A juvenile Mosasaurus would lack precise control over acceleration, trajectory, and timing. When striking at fast or surface-level prey, even a slight misalignment in body angle or tail propulsion results in complete failure. Water resistance amplifies these errors. Drag forces increase rapidly with speed, reducing effective maneuverability. In addition, reaction time must match the prey's escape response, which is often faster in small fish or birds. These initial misses are expected outcomes of an underdeveloped neuromuscular system, still calibrating movement efficiency under hydrodynamic constraints. A successful strike occurs when movement aligns with hydrodynamic advantage rather than raw speed. By approaching from below, a juvenile Mosasaurus would exploit the limited downward visibility of surface-dwelling prey. This reduces detection time and increases strike probability. The upward lunge converts stored muscular energy into a short burst of acceleration, minimizing drag exposure. Modern marine predators, including sharks, use this same ambush geometry. Once contact is made, and even partial jaw closure can secure the prey due to backward curved teeth. The first successful hunt is not a display of dominance, but evidence that mechanical and environmental variables have finally synchronized into an effective predatory sequence. The dentition and jaw structure of Mosasaurus indicate a grip and retain feeding mechanism rather than precise cutting. Teeth are conical and slightly recurved, reducing the likelihood of prey escape once contact is made. This morphology is consistent with high-struggle prey capture, where resistance forces are expected. The jaw joint allows a wide gape, increasing the range of prey sizes that can be handled. Unlike slicing predators, force distribution is focused on penetration and retention, not segmentation. Functional comparisons with modern reptiles and piscivorous predators support this model, suggesting that feeding efficiency depends more on securing prey than on immediate dismemberment. Optimal foraging is governed by energy efficiency rather than opportunity frequency. A predator does not target the most available prey, but the prey that provides the highest net energy gain relative to effort and risk. For a developing Mosasaurus, repeated failed chases of fast, low-yield targets would be energetically unsustainable. Instead, selection pressure favours slower, isolated or weakened individuals. This reduces pursuit time and increases capture probability. Empirical observations in modern marine ecosystems confirm this pattern across multiple apex predators. Hunting behaviour is therefore not random aggression, but a structured decision process constrained by metabolic cost and environmental feedback. Encounters with larger predators and unsuitable prey define early survival limits. A juvenile Mosasaurus, still within a vulnerable size range, would face direct predation risk from sharks occupying similar ecological niches. Sharks often investigate unfamiliar organisms through contact or exploratory bites, increasing danger in confined spaces. At the same time, not all visible prey is accessible. Marine turtles, for example, possess rigid shells composed of keratin and bone, capable of resisting penetration from non-specialized dentition. Attempting such targets results in wasted energy and potential injury. These interactions establish a critical constraint. Not every slow-moving organism is a viable food source. Dolphins introduce a different category of threat, coordinated behaviour. Unlike solitary prey, they operate in groups with rapid communication and synchronized movement. When confronted, a pod can surround a larger predator, striking from multiple angles and targeting vulnerable areas such as the flanks. This reduces the effectiveness of size and bite force advantages. Observations of modern cetaceans show active defense and even offensive behavior against sharks. For a juvenile Mosasaurus, this represents a critical shift in environmental pressure. Success no longer depends solely on physical capability, but on the ability to recognize group dynamics and avoid unfavorable engagements. Prey selection follows a constrained optimization process rather than random targeting. A predator evaluates accessibility, energy yield, and risk simultaneously. For a Mosasaurus, isolated, injured, or distracted individuals present significantly higher capture probability than healthy group members. This reduces pursuit time and minimizes exposure to counterattacks. Empirical data from modern apex predators show consistent preference for weakened targets within populations. This behavior stabilizes energy expenditure while maintaining feeding success rates. It also influences prey population structure over time. Efficient predation is therefore not defined by strength alone, but by selective pressure applied through repeated, low-risk decisions. The concept of an apex predator is often simplified as a position of absolute dominance, but ecological systems do not operate on single-variable hierarchies. A Mosasaurus may occupy a high trophic level, but yet its effectiveness is context-dependent. Factors such as group coordination, environmental complexity, and prey behavior can override size and strength advantages. Encounters with species that operate collectively, such as dolphins or orcas, reveal that trophic position is not fixed but situational. An organism can dominate within one interaction and be disadvantaged in another. The question is therefore not who sits at the top, but under what conditions that position can be maintained or lost. As body size increases, prey selection shifts toward higher energy targets. A larger Mosasaurus would require significantly more caloric intake to sustain growth and movement. Small fish become inefficient as the energy gained does not offset the effort required to capture them. Marine mammals, such as seals, provide a more optimal energy return due to their high fat content. This transition is consistent with observed patterns in modern apex predators, which adjust their diet as metabolic demands rise. The shift is not a preference, but a physiological necessity driven by scaling effects in body mass and energy consumption. The encounter with orcas represents a structural shift in the system, rather than a simple predator interaction. Orcas operate as coordinated units, distributing roles such as distraction, flanking, and impact strikes. This allows them to control engagements against larger or similarly sized targets. Unlike solitary predators, they can maintain pressure over time, forcing energy depletion. Documented behavior in modern orcas includes targeting large marine animals through repeated, strategic attacks. For a Mosasaurus, this introduces a condition where individual strength is insufficient. The outcome is not determined by size, but by collective coordination and endurance under sustained multi-directional threat. Light penetration in seawater decreases exponentially with depth due to absorption and scattering. By approximately 200 meters, most visible wavelengths are significantly reduced, and below 400 meters, the environment approaches near total darkness. This zone limits visual detection for both predator and prey. Under these conditions, movement patterns, contrast, and silhouette become more important than detailed shape recognition. For a large marine predator, this creates both an advantage and a constraint. It can approach undetected, but it must rely on reduced sensory input. For human observers, and such environments amplify uncertainty, as incomplete visual data leads to distorted size estimation and misinterpretation of form. The deep scattering layer is a vertically migrating aggregation of marine organisms that reflects sonar signals as if it were a solid mass. It can extend for kilometers horizontally and tens of meters in thickness. During daylight, this layer descends to deeper, darker zones, effectively disappearing from surface-level detection. At night, it rises towards shallower waters to feed. This daily movement creates the illusion of a large structure appearing and vanishing without a visible cause. The phenomenon is well documented in marine acoustics and is composed primarily of small fish, squid, and zooplankton. Perceptually, it demonstrates how large-scale biological activity can remain undetected depending on observation method. Large marine mammals exhibit strong protective responses toward their offspring, particularly in species such as humpback whales. When a calf is attacked, the mother may engage in high-force defensive behavior, using tail strikes or body positioning to repel threats. These interactions can produce intense surface disturbances, acoustic signals, and prolonged activity in a localized area. Following a large marine death, decomposition processes attract scavengers and alter chemical conditions, temporarily changing the behavior of surrounding species. Historically, such events have been interpreted as the ocean reacting or retaliating. In reality, these patterns reflect ecological feedback mechanisms rather than intentional response or directed behavior. Orca movement patterns are closely linked to prey distribution and environmental conditions. They follow migratory routes of marine mammals, often covering thousands of kilometers across ocean basins. When a high-energy prey source declines or competition increases, orcas relocate to more favorable regions. This creates recurring patterns where large predators appear, disappear, and reappear in different locations over time. Such movements can give the impression of a single persistent entity shifting between regions. In reality, these are population-level dynamics driven by resource tracking and ecological pressure, not the migration of an individual organism. Certain conclusions can be drawn with high confidence. Mosasaurus no longer exists in modern oceans, and no verified evidence supports its survival. The behaviours described, ambush predation, energy-based prey selection, and ecological competition, are consistent with established biological principles. What remains uncertain is the accuracy of historical interpretations shaped under limited observation. Many reported anomalies can be explained through known environmental and perceptual mechanisms. The ocean does not require unknown predators to produce uncertainty. It requires only scale, depth, and incomplete information to generate persistent ambiguity.